Lori Wallach is with us. She is the director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch for an update on exactly where this is. Trans-Pacific Partnership, is it a done deal? Is there anything that's going to stop it? Lori, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Ed. It is not a done deal, and we have it within ourselves, our own action as citizens, to make sure it never is a done deal. And we don't see the foreseeable hemorrhage of more American jobs offshore and the downward pressure on our wages that everyone knows will happen if American workers are thrown into competition with workers in Vietnam making 60 cents an hour.
So why hasn't this deal gone through? What's the holdup?
So here's what's interesting. As we've discussed before, most of the TPP's chapters, of which there are 30, have nothing to do with trade. Instead, it's become this sort of Trojan horse delivery mechanism for every slimy corporate interest to get into place the things they can't win in public, in Congress or state legislatures. And because of all these outrageous things, special monopoly protections for the big pharmaceutical companies that would raise medicine prices, special corporate rights for foreign investors to attack our domestic laws and raid our tax dollars, get paid off for having to meet our laws.
Sue the United States if things don't go their way.
In front of tribunals with 3 private attorneys from other countries. You couldn't believe it, except that chapter actually leaked from the secret negotiation.
So it would circumvent American law.
And courts, and raid our treasury. You got it.
So that's where the Tea Partiers are against it.
That's exactly right. But also, it would ban Buy American and Buy Local and sweat-free procurement. It gets into so many. It would limit our food safety rules. It would undermine internet freedom. All those chapters have meant that in other TPP countries, the politics, the public, have been on the streets. For instance, there is a mass set of arrests just yesterday in Wellington, in New Zealand, because protesters there were so irate about the chapter that would jack up medicine prices, they stormed the trade ministry. So the bottom line of why there isn't a deal is the things that sadly the U.S. is asking from a lot of the other countries governments know if they agree to some of that stuff, they could have serious political problems at home. So, meanwhile, the other thing that's happened is sadly the Obama administration was willing to give away the entire U.S. auto industry, make a deal with Japan that would allow cars to come in here duty-free, special treatment, even if only a small part of the content, the parts, actually was from any country in the deal, which meant like 65% of the content could be from China. It would still be in the deal, but China's not in the deal. And ironically, our NAFTA trade partners, Mexico and Canada, blew that deal up. That's what saved us so far.
This is unlike anything that we've ever seen when it comes to trade because of the side deals, because of the legal side deals, because of the vehicle that's being presented to circumvent American law that would disarm our elected officials to protect American industry and American workers. This is all profit-driven for the very few and not good for the country, if you had to put it in a nutshell.
That's right.
So is Obama naive? Was he aware from the start that this is the kind of garbage that was in on this deal?
His advisors have convinced him that everything that anyone has said critically about this agreement, including, for instance, his previous Harvard Law School professors, who not surprisingly criticize this extrajudicial non-U.S. corporate tribunal tax rating operation, they are all just wrong. And at some level, you have to know he must ideologically support this stuff, because at the point that a few people he used to know and trust say there's a problem, all right, you can listen to your advisors and ignore the people you used to trust. But at the point that basically, in the entire U.S. House of Representatives, only 15 Democrats voted yes for the procedure that would put this in place. At the point that, his constitutional law professor is from Harvard is saying this is a serious problem. At the point that his vice president's former economic advisor is saying this is a real problem, and he still says, oh, no, it's good. Other economists who supported past trade agreements say it's a problem. The good news is there's still a big group in Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike, who are very, very worried about the TPP. So, folks, if you're listening to this, and this scares you, and it should, because it's about your job, your wages, the safety of the food you feed your kids, whether your granny can get medicine she can afford, all of that we can still do something about. And the key thing is to talk to your member of the House of Representatives. The real deciding pressure is going to actually come from the House. So the thing to do is right now members of Congress are very involved because the Obama administration is trying to finish the deal in the next 2 weeks. If they can't get a deal announced to Congress by the 24th of September, coming up very fast, then they can't have a vote on it this year. So talk to your members of Congress. Everyone can call the Capitol switchboard. It's very easy. You don't even need to know the name. You just give them your zip code. This is a good number, I'm going to say, that everyone should write down because you can use it for every issue. It's 202-225-3121. And the message is, I want to speak to the chief of staff for my congressperson. You get the chief of staff, you probably get the voicemail, and just say, I want a letter confirming my member of Congress is going to stop the TPP before it kills my job.
It's that easy. 202-225-3121. That's 202-225-3121. Make the call to Washington. Say you want to talk to the chief of staff of your representative, and then go on record against the TPP. Now, the 24th, back up just a little bit. The significance of this date again. Why is that?
So, you Ed, did a great job with helping the public understand this fight that happened in Congress this spring and summer over the procedure called fast-track trade authority.
Yep.
And that's this sneaky procedure that railroads bad trade agreements through Congress. Well, the way that procedure works is in order for the president to be able to have this no-amendment, high-speed, crazy vote procedure for a trade agreement, notice has to be given to Congress at least 90 days before an agreement can be signed. And so 90 days before Christmas Eve, the last possible day you could imagine Congress voting, happens to be the 24th of September.
Yeah.
So if these many outstanding issues that are so important to all of us in these secret closed-door TPP negotiations can't all get resolved, and a deal can't get finished, and Congress get told the deal is finished by the 24th, we at least know that they're not going to be having any votes on this deal this year.
Your thoughts on how it has vanished from mainstream media conversation and coverage? I mean, this meeting last week with the automobile industry, the devil in the details on what the holdup is, fast track, TPP, what it means, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's backdoor conversations and grassroots work such as yourself that you're doing, and few in Congress who give a damn at this point that think it can be stopped. That's where it is, right?
I mean, I think the good news is there are a lot of people in Congress who think it can be stopped, and they just need to be reinforced by their voters back home, and there's a bunch of undecided folks who aren't sure what they're going to do with it, and that's what we can help. So, but the mainstream media issue, I'll tell you what my hunch is. It's sad, but there is no sort of exciting battle at this very moment. And so when the fast-track fight was going on, that was a lot of drama.
It's a little too academic for them.
It forced them. No, well, I think, yes, partially it's too academic, but I think that the big media companies aren't that interested in covering this because there are things in there that they could make money off of. So when there's a big national debate like the fast-track fight, they can't but cover it. They would look idiotic if they didn't cover it. But now that there isn't a sort of a necessity to cover a big national political battle, it's easy to slip it under the radar. Because if you think about it, Ed, but for you, until Fast Track really took off in the spring, there was not a whole lot of coverage about TPP, and it was a big honking deal before the Fast Track fight.
So it's the Fast Track to 924, which would give the president authority to move forward on this. That's what we got to stop. Yes, sir. All right. Lori, great to have you with us. We'll visit again before the 24th. Keep up the great work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Director of Media Citizens Global Trade Watch, Lori Wallach, with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary.